Happy cow noises, everyone! It is nearly time for the Beastmen DLC, but before we get there, the mighty Loopy is here to try to prove that Beastmen are actually a force to be reckoned with, going up against Raziel here, both of Clan ODM. Should be certainly a good fun matchup. Tomb Kings do definitely have the advantage here, in my opinion. Almost all the undead factions fare relatively well up against the Beastmen, whereas the Land of the Living do struggle a little bit more. I'm going to pause the battle before we get into it here, because it looks like it's going to underway really quite quickly here, with some nice little Vanguard on Vanguard action. And for the most part, this Beastmen build is 90% Vanguarded. We have Ungor Spearherds in the front line, mixed in with Gore Herds as well. Looks like they are going to be the shielded and unshielded variety. The unshielded, I believe, do come in with two mighty cleaving axes, rather than just the basic arse one. Going to be certainly very good at clearing their way through the enemy chaff as quickly as possible. That is if they indeed meet chaff. I think Tomb Guard probably quite popular here today. We do have teams of Centaurs supporting this push on the right-hand side, but apart from that, it's going to be a big, fat, juicy flank overload on the left-hand side, with triple Centaurs with throwing axes, arguably the most pivotal unit in the entire Beastmen roster at the moment. You need these guys in so many matchups. Just again, skirmish cavalry, it's so powerful right about now. They're going to be supported by some Centaurs with great weapons as well, who are currently hiding in the trees. And then we have the Butchers of Kalkengard supporting the mighty Morga the Shadowgave, coming in, of course, with his summons, as well as a Brave Shaman of Wild. Brave Scream and Vile Tide, the poisons of choice. Pretty fun build. We'll have to see what the Tomb Kings have brought to the table in order to counteract them. And it looks like we have triple Skeleton Horse Archers over here on the right-hand side. These guys certainly going to be quite crucial here to getting rid of those pesky throwing axes. We have a more cavalry as well. Nice little contingent. Double horsemen on this flank, supported by skeleton chariots. And it seems like the same on the other side. We do have the Chosen of the Gods, which is a rather interesting pick here. Again, I can see the reasoning though. It's almost like bringing one cannon. It's enough pressure to force your opponent to come in and deal with them. Otherwise, they will wreck up some pretty horrendous damage. And in the main battle line, we have cheap and cheerful skeleton spearmen with skeleton warriors dotted along the battle line for the most part. But they shall be supported as well by two units of elite Tomb Guard, who are by definition bad to the bone elite Tomb King warriors, who can certainly cleave their way through an unholy amount of rotting flesh and smelly beastmen. Ark on the Black shall be coming in with Spirit Leech. Is that Doom and Darkness as well? It is indeed. So Doom and Darkness minus 16 leadership. Going to be very powerful here today up against the Beastmen and their low leadership faction. We also have the Liber Mortis, of course the Staff of Nagash, and the Tomb Blade of Arkan. All three items are very powerful for Ark on the Black, and that's kind of what makes him quite competitive. A few shots are unleashed into the Gore Herds, doing some nice damage, and immediately those Skeleton Horse Archers are having to fall back, and a lot of the cavalry is actually starting to rotate around away from this flank where possible, as the Spearmen do charge forward to meet their doom before the might of the Gore Herds, and Gore Herds certainly will be able to quite comfortably chew their way through Skeleton Warriors, but it still will take them some time. Skeleton Warriors have a decent amount of HP. A load of shots do come in on these Centaurs, who have really collapsed now on top of the Horsemen as well as Skeleton Chariots, attempting to pin these guys in place. We even have a Spirit Leech coming down, Chosen of the Gods trying to focus fire down, and it looks like the Centaurs will need to flee this because there's more Skeleton Warriors being summoned in the rear. So all round, a pretty solid exchange by both players. One unit of Centaurs being forced off, but likewise some Horsemen seem to be biting the bullet. In the main battle line, Gore Herds are really starting to pull apart their opponents. Centaurs as well dart through the gap. Beautiful micro there by Loopy, hopping on top of the Chosen of the Gods, and there's no sneaky snakes or halberds here to help protect, so instead Horsemen are going to have to sacrifice themselves to try and hold back the enemy, but get hit by a Brave Scream for their troubles. Centaurs with thrown axes have whipped around the back now, looking to try to target key units, and the front line has been won relatively effectively actually by the Tomb Kings. It looks like they did get some lovely cycle charging coming by the Horsemen and Chariots, and Centaurs now slowly starting to be dragged down here as the Tomb Guard get into their comfort zone. Butchers of Kalkengard do charge in, however, they'll be pretty scary here and be able to rip and tear their way through many a Tomb Guard enemy, and Skeleton Spearmen are starting to get dragged down on this flank. You can see beautiful micro once again, forming column and pushing through to get into the Tomb Guard back line, and the Tomb Guard, well, Tomb Kings I should say, are in rather big pockets of disarray. I mean, there are Horsemen trying to counter skirmish where possible with the support of Chariots, and somehow the Chosen Gods are once again back online. Beautiful play here by the Tomb King player to keep these guys alive and healthy, and they're going to continue to rain fire in, targeting down Let's have a look. They're targeting down these Centaurs, which certainly isn't a bad idea. One unit of Centaurs has already been forced off, and some of the other ones are looking a little bit beat up. Another Brave Scream does come down, and we do have those filthy Chaos Spawn who are slaughtering Horsemen and Foot Soldier alike. They can get in there and do some really good damage. 23 kills on a summoned unit. Yes, sirree, that is pretty powerful indeed. We're going to see a second Chaos Spawn summon coming in, and it is well placed to charge and run down the Chosen of the Gods. Centaurs with thrown axes are trying to get in there as well to really shut these guys down, but Skeleton Horse Archers are ever on the prowl and trying to patrol the nearby land to save these guys. Skeleton Spearmen do push into the Chaos Spawn to try to pin them in place, and a lot of these spawn will start to disappear, and that's where Ark in the Black can really shine with his Spirit Leeches dragging down the enemy, and a lot of the Centaurs have been dealt with, which is rather surprising, but really good play so far by the Tomb King Cavalry, has kept them in this game because the front line was an absolute slaughterfest. Horse Archers continue to pepper down thrown axes where possible, looking to drag these mighty warriors down to the ground, and a few of them do fall there. And the Chosen of the Gods continuing to fight in here, but it looks like they are aiming at some of the Butchers now, going for those bigger, juicier targets. And we are going to see the Ushopti summon coming into play, with the Horsemen trying to surround and push these guys. And that looks like we're going to see a Spirit Leech as well, trying to get to grips with the Brave Shaman of Wilds there, and finish them off for good. It's a good Goonin attempt, but is it going to be enough? There are Chaos Spawn currently supporting, but for how much longer, we do not know. Horse Archers doing a decent job with the chariots to try and fend off these Centaurs with throwing axes. And it looks like another Brave Scheme is going to go down, catching those Skeleton Spearmen, doing some glorious damage to them. The Ushopti summon is taking a little bit of a pounding. The Butchers of Calgard are standing not quite firm, actually. They're down to 7 models and running for their lives, but that is a lot of regen potential that they can bring into the battlefield. These chariots certainly want to go over here and chase those guys off or shatter them. Brave Shaman is also starting to get slaughtered, but some of the throwing axes have found a home, hunting down Chosen of the Gods, who do seem to be losing that duel. And the Beastmen start to break. They're running in all directions. We do see a Doom and Darkness come down. That's forcing off the Ungor Spearherds and the Butchers of Calgard down to 5 models now. I don't know where I'll rush them a little bit ahead there. Chariots need to chase him down and finish him off for good, though. Brave Shaman has been forced off. Ark in the Black can chase him down now and try to go for that final kill. The Shadowgave, though, even with Doom and Darkness, he's a rather happy bunny. He'll happily fight against Ushopti all day long and is not really suffering too much. Down goes the Brave Shaman, although he did do a good job with some of those Brave Screams. Ark needs to be careful, though. He doesn't want to duel the Shadowgave 1-on-1. And the Butchers of Calgard have returned, so it's certainly not over for the Beastmen, despite the balance power starting to go out of their favour, because that's 5 models who can regen. That's plenty of potential. Chosen of the Gods have once again been rescued by the quite masterful cavalry and chariot play so far by the Tomb Kings. And these guys up to 39 kills, used up a huge pocket of their ammunition, seem to be getting a little bit of revenge on those thrown axes for previous deeds done against them. We are going to see a Spirit Leech come down onto the Butchers, but this really needs to be followed up by pressure from the horses and chariots to break these guys, because otherwise they're just going to regenerate from that Spirit Leech. They are down to just 3 models, though, which is a little bit disastrous for them. And the Spearmen poking, jabbing at the bulls, and they're certainly seeing red and running in the other direction. Skeleton Chariots doing a good job finishing up all the infantry here, just bouncing around, and it is starting to look really bleak here for our favourite Beastie Boys, as the Skeleton Horse Archers, though quite low, are managing to cycle charge effectively into the Centaurs, break them off, and finish them up for good. We do have a Liber Mortis go down, though, supporting the Chosen of the Gods away from those pesky throwing axes. And it looks like the Beastmen actually may close in for hand-to-hand combat, but Skeleton Chariots will be able to countercharge, and rather wisely the Centaurs decide, you know what, today's not our day, we're going to pull back and live to fight another day. Ark in the Black's full health, but likewise is the Shadowgave. Balance power is actually pretty dead even at this point, because there's not that much left on the field to duel up against the Shadowgave, because he's such a powerful duelist, and the Butchers once again do return 3 models. The longer the battle goes on, the more healing they're going to get. Ushopti do seem to be getting finally shut down here by the Shadowgave himself, plus Centaurs. Chariots are attempting a rear charge here, but by themselves are also going to be getting recharged by Centaurs. Luckily, thrown axes and not great weapons, however. Centaurs do seem to be breaking here. Ark in the Black with the Staff and the Gash is doing a pretty solid job. Plus, we have the support of the Skeleton Spearmen, which is huge, allowing them to drag down those Centaurs. Though the Chariots may have bit the bullet here and been going down for good, the Butchers desperately trying to chase down that last Chosen of the Gods member, but he's crumbling all on his own. Minotaurs are in, trying to do the dirty work. Skeleton Spearman, though, 72 models is certainly not too bad. And Arkan going to be coming for a rear charge as well, and actually slays one of the Minotaurs there with a diagonal strike, taking off his head and pushing him down to the ground, and the butchers do finally shatter. Now we just have some Centaurs as well as Morga the Shadow Gave. Arkan is going to be trying his best to cycle charge him where possible. And he does have the support as well of the Skeleton Spearman, but likewise Centaurs have returned to the fray. Tomb Guard starting to struggle. Down very low at this point. Looks like they're going to be getting finished off for good. So it shall be the Spearman and Arkan versus Centaurs and the Shadow Gave. You can't get much closer than this. If we have a little look around the battlefield, there are some Centaurs in the distance who aren't going to make it back to the battle. And that's it. It's what you see is what you get. Centaurs once again ramrodding into the back line, trying to break, shatter and crumble this unit of Spearmen, who are getting it from all sides right now. Although another summon does come down, which is really nice play, keeping that in the back pocket to the later stages of the game. Arkan is trying his best up against Morga, but he's really not connecting. The Shadow Gave has a pretty impressive 55 and 45 melee attack and defense, with poison to lower your stats and regeneration. He can be pretty hard to bring down, but he's certainly now surrounded and alone. Centaurs once again are forced off, and Arkan is going to be taking this opportunity, rather than chasing off the Centaurs, to cycle charge the Shadow Gave, which is probably the best idea here, while he at least has the support of these Skeleton Warriors, because as soon as they're gone, he's going to have to stick and fight, because the Spearmen won't be around too much longer. They are indeed crumbling here with a minus 25 leadership. Not much chance of them returning. Centaurs against Arkan is looking likely to be a little duel here. Centaurs actually decide to fall back a little bit there, and the Shadow Gave gets ramrolled down onto the ground once again. But the Spearmen are only a summon, and they will be disappearing relatively soon. Centaurs can't wait any longer though, and have to charge in there. Unfortunately lose quite a few models on the approach, and actually start to waver themselves. And the Skeleton Warriors, they do not have long left in this war. If we look at their little ticker down at the bottom left, yeah, they've got about, what, 5 seconds left, and they're going to be gone, and then it's Arkan versus the world. If he is another summon, that'd be so nice right about now, because the Centaurs have been forced off. There is just the one unit, I think, left fighting for the Shadow Gave. Apparently there's one more, so some Centaurs in the distance. But it's, yeah, the Shadow Gave, one skeleton who's now going down, and Arkan the Black. Now, if we can see another skeleton summon, maybe there's a chance here, because it will allow Arkan to cycle charge once more. And he's done a pretty good job so far, pushing down the Shadow Gave, trying to attack him where possible, but he keeps getting flung to the ground. And then Arkan does his little jukey swirls and twirls, but now he is engaged in hand-to-hand, and this will certainly, in my opinion, favour the Shadow Gave. You can see some big shots coming in. Though a Spirit Leech has been popped, I believe Morga comes in with pretty solid magic resistance, 25, which really isn't too shabby whatsoever. Still, damage is damage at the end of the day. Arkan and Shadow Gave trading relatively close to each other. It looks like the Shadow Gave is starting to gain the advantage, though. That poison seeping into the bones and mind of Arkan the Black, somehow making him move slower. But hey, it's a you know, a magical affair, so who knows how the poison really works against undead troops. Shadow Gave is giving as good as he gets at the moment. Arkan's trying to fight, but if we have a little look at HP, he is losing this rather comfortably now. Shadow Gave actually regenerating a decent amount of hit points as well. He really needs a Skeleton Summon, or, I mean, that's the only way I can see him winning a Skeleton Summon and a Doom and Darkness with Cycle Charging to try to break him off perhaps, but I don't think the Winds of Magic reserves are there. Arkan now down to 955 HP as he is rammed by the horns of Morga the Shadow Gave, and it is now looking pretty tasty for Arkan. Skeleton Warrior Summon does come down. Is it a tad too late though? Balance Power has fallen drastically away from the Tomb Kings. Arkan, he's just about stabilizing with 8 health. Maybe this is a chance, maybe, but it still seems quite unlikely to me, because the Skeleton Warriors simply aren't going to be able to do any damage. Arkan's currently floating around left, right, and centre. If he has Doom and Darkness, minus 16 leadership on top of him, he's still in the high 70s though. Yeah, I just don't think it's possible. I really don't. I love the effort by both players, but I think the Shadow Gave is going to remain too tanky. Arkan has no option really but to cycle charge here. You can see Morga is slowly starting to get towards his healing cap, but Arkan is a relatively okay duelist himself, 40 melee attack and 50 melee defense. And cycle charging certainly will help him out quite a bit, but he gets clobbered in the back for his efforts. Starts to waver. Staff of Nagash is popped, but he is crumbling into dust, and unlike Cetra, Arkan the Black does indeed serve, and he shall serve the Beastmen in future campaigns, because he has been made into their slave today. Down to, he's actually managed to stabilise a little bit, which is pretty hilarious, and charge back in, so maybe my speech was a tad too early, but with only 220 HP, when these skeleton warriors break, army losses will kick in, and there's simply no hope, and you can see the bar just goes boom, straight all the way up to a Pyrrhic victory for the forces of the Beastmen. Happy moves in chat in the comments down below. Very well played to Loopy, very well played to Raziel. We've been getting some fantastic replays from the ODM guys recently, and this, again, was an exceptional fight here. Brilliant performance by both of them, proving that the Beastmen still can be great warriors in the right hands in the current meta, though I am still very excited, of course, for the DLCs to come. Now, we will hop in to the glorious damage dealt and damage value in just a second. Looks like the Shadow Gate performed pretty damn well there. But before we get to that, if you did enjoy, please do leave a big old fat thumbs up under the video, and feel free to subscribe and comment down below. Who was your favourite player? What was your favourite MVP moment? Favourite character, unit? Anything about the battle, feel free to comment, or just yell quack. I do enjoy reading all the comments. They are super motivational when you put out content and then you get a load of comments of people saying they enjoyed the battle and so forth. It really does make you want to make more and more videos, so I really do appreciate you all greatly. There's also links down below in the description to my Patreon, where you can support the channel, Discord, where you can sign up to events I host, keep up to date with the channel, hone your skill against new and experienced players, and chill out with a bubbling community of over 670 people now or something. It's a pretty damn crazy amount of people we've got, and the Discord really has indeed grown. There's also links to the Gamers Planet account. If you want to buy the new DLC at a discounted price, you can do it through there. But anyway, Morgul the Shadow Gate, an absolute beast. He has been one of the very few shining lights of Beastmen during their time in Total War Warhammer so far. Or at least since Total Warhammer 2, where other factions really started to overtake the Beastmen. And he still, to this day, remains very powerful. 2,066 damage value. Nice work by him. The Brave Shaman of Wild, 1,405. Ungol Spearheads really did kind of suffer here a little bit, unfortunately, but that's what Ungols are born for. And the Goreherds as well didn't particularly get great damage value, even the double axe variety, due to the chariot and cavalry performance of Raziel, which was really top class today. Centaurs did a bit better. 666 damage value here. These guys making the Chaos Gods very proud. The other one's 447 less so. 1,159 damage value on the Centaurs with great weapons is very impressive. Got onto a lot of key targets. 21 kills, not too shabby. Front axes were good all the way up into the late game. 1,000 damage value, 936, 894. Getting big kills and doing a fantastic job as well of harassing the enemy units where possible. Butcher's Account Guard, only 735 damage value. Still got 60 kills though, cleared out a lot of the chaff, surrounded key targets as well, but due to Spirit Leeches, Doom and Darkness, Raziel managed to finish them off. So it really did come down here, I think, to the hero and Lord Core of Loopy to seal victory. As for the Tomb Kings, Ark and the Black, 1,900 damage value. Certainly not too shabby whatsoever, but at the end of the day, Magic is defeated by the pure hatred of the Beastmen forces, and he simply wasn't good enough up against the Shadow Gate. The infantry really suffered, as is expected in this matchup. Tomb Guard faring a bit better, not much though, 850 damage value is good, but the other unit, a pitiful 438. The Horseman is really what kept the Tomb Kings in this game. All across the board, not the craziest damage value, kind of mid, 500s, 600s, that kind of range, but all round, they were onto key targets, chasing routing troops at any opportunity, and that really did help the Tomb Kings quite considerably. Chariots as well, 887 damage value, 96 kills, 94 kills on the other one, 835 damage value as well, really neutering the effectiveness of a lot of the Beastmen infantry in today's game. Skeleton Horse Archers fared pretty poorly for their damage value for the most part, apart from this last one, which got just shy of 800 damage value. The others, though, only 300 and 184. And somehow, by some dark magic, Raziel managed to keep the Chosen of the Gods online for a crazily long time, which was just down to good positioning by him, saving them time and time again, allowing them to rack up 2,418 damage value. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.